to the inception of my YouTube channel. So, if you've met me before, good to see you again. If not, my name is Lee, and in this YouTube adventure I'm going on, I'm gonna be recording my PCT travels. In this video, I'm gonna go over the gear I have laid out behind me over here and the general overview of exactly what kind of thing this is, and yeah, just kind of explain what all is going on. So right now it is the 4th of May and my start date is the 7th. So I fly down to San Diego, California on the 6th and then take a shuttle over to the southern terminus of the PCT, which is outside a little town called Campo. And from there I start walking north and see how far I can make it. The goal is to get up to the Canadian border, but for now, we're just going to take it one step at a time. So I will get into a little map and an overview, and then we'll get into the gear. So what is the PCT? PCT stands for Pacific Crest Trail. So it is a footpath that goes from the border of Mexico through the desert of California, up into the Sierra Nevada mountains of California, and then through Oregon and my home state of Washington, and drops you off at the Canadian border. So, as I was saying before, it is a footpath, which means I will be hiking, and I will be taking a backpack with all of the gear over here, which we will get into momentarily. And I will be transporting myself by foot from one border to the other. The entire hike is 2,658 miles, and I'm anticipating it taking somewhere between 4.5 and 5 months. So, as I was saying before, my start date is May. So, May, June, July, August, September. So, hopefully, somewhere in September, I will be up in Washington nearing the Canadian border. It is a fairly well-known hike. Lots of people do it each year. I think it's like 3,000 to 5,000 people each year. And off the top of my head, I think it was something like 10 to 15% of the people that start the hike finish the hike. So obviously I am hoping to be one of those, but we shall see. So now that we have an overview, I'm going to shift over here and show you what kind of supplies that I will be taking for the entirety of the trip and what's going to help keep me safe and alive out on the trail. Alrighty, so now we're looking at all the gear. I hired my dad to man the camera for me, so thank you, Dad. To start out with, I'm going to be talking about the backpack. So this one's called the Durston Kakwa. It's a 55-liter backpack. It's very simple in design. It just has one big cavity in it with a couple things for water bottles and then things that you need on the fly. So all the things that we see here on the table is gonna be fitting in this bag, and this is what I'm gonna be carrying. So during my training hikes, I was putting 5 or 6 gallons worth of water, so that's 50-ish pounds or so in here, and it was holding it fine and everything was comfortable. So I'm thinking this is going to be a really nice pack for me. So we'll start over here looking at this stuff, and then we'll just work our way across the table. Closest to you in the foreground here, this is a sleeping pad. It's basically an air mattress the size of a person, and it's what I will be sleeping on. Inside of it, there's a little blow sack, so I don't have to fill it up with my own breath, and I've slept on it quite a few nights last summer, and it was actually quite comfortable. So that is the sleeping pad, and then with that, there is also a pillow that comes with it, which is also a blow-up pillow. Here is my tent. It is a ultralight tent, so basically what that means is the whole thing weighs like maybe a pound and an ounce or something like that it was, and it doesn't have tent poles. The structure of the tent comes from my trekking poles, and just another way where we can make things a little lighter and easier on me. So with that, we have this stakes for staking it down, and I will be slipping those in there. I was just making sure that I had enough. And then this here is my sleeping bag. It's actually not a sleeping bag, it's a quilt, but the same thing. I like to toss and turn when I sleep, so the confinement of a sleeping bag was not good for me. So this is a lot easier on me. It's a 15-degree bag and should keep me warm through all the conditions that I'm going to be running into. So over here, these are the shoes that I'm going to be wearing. They're Hoka's. You might be wondering why they're not hiking shoes or whatever, but lots of people use the trail runner shoes. They're very, very light, and there's a saying where it's a foot on or a pound on the feet is 10 on the back. So if you're carrying, the thousands and thousands of steps that I'm going to be doing, it's really nice to have something that fits to your foot really well and is lightweight. For when I get into camp, my footwear, so I can let my feet breathe, are these little sandals. They're super lightweight and they bend, so I'll be able to throw them down into any of the little nooks and crannies to fit them in there. And at the end of the day, I'll get to get out of the shoes that I've been cruising in all day and let my feet take a little bit of a break. So that's with the footwear. This is my fanny pack. I know they get a bad rap, but they're freaking awesome. I'm going to be keeping things that I need to access quickly, so I'll probably have my phone, a multi-tool, maybe my wallet, and as well as snacks and things like that, so I don't have to take my backpack off when I'm needing to access some things on the fly. So this is the fanny pack that I will be wearing. All right, now we're gonna get into some clothes. Actually, before clothes, these are micro spikes. When you're going across snowfields and whatever, snow is slippery. So these things attach to the bottom of my shoes to give me traction. So now we can move into some clothing items. So these are small gaiters. They basically make sure that nothing will be getting into my shoes. So I will be putting them over the top of the shoes and up my legs so I can keep things out of my shoes. A hat, that one's pretty self-explanatory. That's for sun. This is for cold, and this one also I will be wearing when I'm sleeping because I can use it as something to get an extra 30 minutes of sleep when the sun comes up. So that's my beanie. The first 700 miles is all through the desert, so there's a lot of sun. I'm trying to limit the amount of sunblock that I need by having lightweight things that I can have over my body and just limit exposure to the sun. One of those things is a balaclava, or however you say it. So with my hat and the balaclava on, I can very much limit the amount of sun exposure that I will be suffering from. So that's the balaclava. As far as socks go, I have one for hiking, and then I have one for when I get into camp and sleeping. So a nice thick warm pair for sleeping, and then a lighter weight one for when I'm hiking. To be worn beneath the socks, there's a sock liner. These ones are toed. It limits the amount of rubbing and everything on your toes, and hopefully will mitigate blisters that I will have to deal with. So for base layers, I have long underwear. So they're smart wool long underwear. I also will probably be sleeping in these. For the mid layer, I will be wearing shorts for basically the entire time. No underwear, as they have a built-in liner within them, so that is the plan for my shorts. And I will be trying to wear pants hardly ever. I don't really want to wear pants. I'm not really a pants guy, and I try to eliminate them as much as I can. I will be wearing a sun hoodie. Like I was saying before, I'm trying to limit the amount of sun that I'm exposed to, so this is a long sleeve sun hoodie that, in the name hoodie, has a hood. So with the balaclava, the sun hoodie, and my hat, I should be able to limit the amount of sun exposure that I have. I also have a cutoff for underneath just to help deal with a little bit of sweat and moisture. And then I have a puffy jacket for keeping warm when it gets cold. And then for keeping dry and in windy conditions, I have rain pants and I have a rain jacket. So the things that I need quick access to, I will be holding on the outside pouch of my backpack, and things that I will not be using regularly, I'll be putting in this waterproof stuff sack and trying to compress it down so it takes up very little real estate. So that is the clothes that I'm going to be taking. It's going to get kind of stinky out there because you see that I don't have a lot of extras or doubles of things, but that's just kind of part of the beast on this one. So you kind of just got to make do with what you got. I realized that I forgot to talk about the gloves. I also have gloves that I will be using for things that gloves do. A small towel as well as a bandana. So for cleaning around the camp and, just general workings. So if we want to come and look over here, this is where we start to get into the food and water stuff that I will be taking. Over here, these are just examples of the types of foods that I'm going to be eating when I'm along the trip. Lots of dehydrated things like this. These kind of things are great because they're all over the place and they're cheap and they're pretty high in calories. I'll also be eating a lot of non-perishable, single serving kind of things like this tamale or these pepperoni sticks or Cliff Bars. I'm also going to be looking for high calorie options so I can get the most bang for my buck with things like these peanut butters and trail mixes. I was gifted a lot of these Mountain House kind of meals, and I'm taking the ones that I was gifted, but they're very expensive compared to some of the other options, so I will probably not be dining on these kind of things very often. So as far as food goes, these are the types of things I'll be eating, and this is the sack that I will be storing it in. It's a bear sack or an sack, and it is tear and rip resistant, and this one is actually one of the nicer ones. It has a small metal mesh in it that also eliminates the rodents and the smaller creatures from chewing through it. So this is where I'm going to be keeping all of my food. Right here is my camp pot. So using the fuel, I will be cooking all my cookable kind of things in here. Within this pot, I have a lighter and a camp stove, and I have a garbage bag and things like that within this right now. So everything that I eat that doesn't come out of a pre-served packaging is basically going to be going through this 1 liter pot here. So as far as water goes, a lot of the water that I'm going to be getting is going to be from streams or places that have unpotable water, right? So this is the water filter that all my water is going to come through when I can't get it from a reliable source. It's called a Sawyer squeeze. It's called a squeeze because you have these pouches that you collect your water in, and then this thing will be screwed onto it, and then I can squeeze it out through and put it into various water receptacles such as the smart water bottles, which I'll be using. The thread size on the pouch, the Sawyer squeeze, and the smart water bottle are all the same thread size, so you can use them all together. So that's going to be how I'm going to be dealing with water. Trekking poles, like I was saying earlier, the trekking poles can be one used for trekking and for the structure of my tent, so multiple use item, as well as I have some duct tape on these for random patches and stuff like that. This thing right here is I don't have a reservoir like a Camelback or things like that. This one is not used for that. This is just for my Sawyer squeeze. But what this allows me to do is to put a water bottle in the outside of my pack, and then I can fish this down into it so I can drink out of the water bottles even though they're behind me in my pack, so I don't have to be moving things around all the time trying to get things out. So this is going to be useful for me. I just got done today putting together a first aid kit. I basically bought this just for the package and then gutted the whole thing and gave myself all the things that I knew how to use and what I would need personally. So all that kind of stuff is in here. Your basics, bandages, gauze pads, things for headaches, allergic reactions, stuff like that. Right here is a map and compass. This is kind of a backup thing, right? Because we're in the 21st century. 90% of that kind of stuff is going to be happening on my phone, which is what this is being recorded on. There's several different navigational apps that I'll be using. They kind of indicate where you are, where you're going, and as well as various resources and distances from towns, what kind of things you can find in town. So this is just kind of a backup for if my phone runs out of battery or lets me down. I'm also taking a journal with me so I can write things down and kind of just have a keepsake for later. Work things out in my head. And then over here we have all my other electronics. So to keep my electronics charged, I have 2 power banks, the assorted charging cables for everything that I'm going to need, some headphones because I am bringing an iPod. I want to try to save the battery on my phone as much as I can, and I'm kind of old school and I really like the iPod anyway. So just got done today making a couple playlists to get me started out on the trail. So my iPod, and then I am using this. I have yet to take the bands off of this. This is a sports watch, and this is what I'm going to be using as an alarm in another attempt to try to limit the amount that I'm going to be using the battery of my phone. Last bit of the electronics, I have 2 flashlights, 1 headlamp, and then 1 small lantern flashlight. I like to have a backup for lights because illumination is really important. Both of these are really lightweight and they're both read about 400 lumens, so plenty enough to keep the night lit. Also have a charging block to go with all the charging cables and everything. Over here we have, they call it a ditty bag. It basically has all the things that I need for self-hygiene on it. So I have some hand sanitizers, I have some soap for one myself, but also for doing the dishes for my pot and stuff like that. I'll use soap. Small toothbrush. I have these toothpaste tablets as opposed to just a roll of toothpaste. It's one of those ultralight things. I figured why not at least give it a try. I have some sunscreen and that kind of thing, as well as nail clippers. So that's basically all that's going to be going in there. I have a bug net because my dad, he actually went on the PCT and he's talked many times about how horrible the mosquitoes were. So I'm definitely making sure to bring this. And then at the very tail end, my sunglasses to make sure that I can not blind myself. So this is kind of just an overview. I'm pretty sure that through my time here, this will be most of what I need. Along the way, I might figure out there's some things I don't need and I'll send them off, and there might be some things that I will need, so I'll end up picking up some more things. But I feel pretty ready, and I feel like I have most of what I'm going to need throughout this whole adventure. So moving forward in the next couple weeks, I'm going to make sure that I upload a video or two every 1 or 2 weeks, and kind of keep everybody just in the loop, make sure they know that I'm alive and that I'm out there thriving and having a good time. So thanks for coming along on this, and yeah, look forward to the next video of me getting down to the southern terminus and starting off the hike.